Welcome to the extended dialogue on the Dialogue channel. This is Derek. I'm Andrew. You may already know that by now. You may not. We just watched The Hateful Eight, filmed by Quentin Tarantino, written and directed, starring lots of great people. And this is the part of the show where we're just going to kind of talk about certain themes of the film. If you want to watch a review, you can hit up in the link in the description. And catch that. We're just going to kind of discuss specifically racism and whether or not that comes together in the film. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, if you've watched it, which, by the way, there's going to be a lot of spoilers, so you probably want to watch it first, or you can just watch this without watching the movie. It doesn't matter.
Right. It's up to you. Feel free.
But there are going to be spoilers. FYI. So there's a lot of racial tension, and this has to do with like the time period too.
Right.
Is a thing you really liked, right?
Yeah.
Like being true to the time period.
Yeah, I definitely like that about Quentin Tarantino's movies. Mm-hmm. Is that he has a tendency to just lay it all out there. You know, he's not going to make things easy for the audience.
Right. Right.
So he's not going to use fluffy words or take out language that would be normal for that time period to make people feel comfortable.
Right. If there's like a point of tension, he's basically going to take it and shake it up or use it to the extreme or something like that. He's going to take the tension and he's going to actually put it in an aerosol can and spray paint graffiti on the wall.
Right.
Tension graffiti. So the time period of this film, there's actually a Union officer, there's a Confederate officer general, right. There's black person, white people.
Yes.
There's a lot of mix. It's a mixed bag, and there's tension in the air. So this was a big part of the film, mm-hmm. and you're prepared for this because Quentin Tarantino does this a lot, right?
Yeah, I mean, so...
You saw this coming.
Yeah, obviously with some of Quentin Tarantino's other movies like Django Unchained and things like that. Right, he obviously has a lot of this.
Right.
He's touched on the racial issues before, mm-hmm. Between blacks and whites. It's no different in this movie. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that in here, and honestly, I really like the way it was handled in this movie. So you have Major Marcus, which is played by Samuel L. Jackson, and then you have what was his name?
I don't know the actor's name. Walton, I think, but the sheriff.
Yeah, Sheriff.
Stink.
Sheriff.
Chris. Chris was his name. His name.
Sheriff Chris.
Chris was his first name. Chris.
You kind of have these two characters, and at the beginning of the movie, you can feel this major tension because of racial barriers. Mm-hmm. And so I really enjoyed that. You have the white guy who's racist towards blacks, and then you have the black guy who's racist towards whites. And so you have this tension, this racial tension that's there, mm-hmm. and then the movie keeps building upon this, and then hits you with this scene at the end where...
This is great.
Where basically racial gaps are bridged, and brothers are formed between the races. And I love it.
The film does it in probably a couple of great ways, but one really, really great way, which is the Lincoln letter, which we're going to talk about later. That's pretty much my favorite part about the movie, I think, is their use of that. But you're right, like the film actually kind of builds on that, which I didn't know how I feel about. I didn't know how I felt about that. I don't know necessarily how I feel about that. Like there's even one of the titles in the chapters. I don't know if it was chapter 6. I feel like it was somewhere around there where it was like Black Man, White Hell or something like that.
Right.
Or Black Man in a White Hell.
Yeah.
So obviously that's almost a point of the movie, mm-hmm. right? So let's talk about the Lincoln letter. Yeah. So it seems like it's like a small thing, a tidbit that's just maybe hidden away in the movie, or it's not necessarily a plot device.
It's one of those gems.
It is like I feel like it's this awesome thing
mm-hmm. that's brought out over the course of the movie.
So when's the first time we hear about the Lincoln letter?
First moment that you hear about the Lincoln letter is when Samuel L. Jackson's character, Major Marcus, is picked up by the bounty hunter character.
Right.
Right at the beginning, Kurt Russell.
He's picked up by Kurt Russell.
He's picked up by Kurt Russell,
I forget what his name is.
Yeah, basically it's kind of played out that way. He's
and
picked up.
They've already met each other before.
And there's obviously a little bit of history that's expounded upon there between the characters, but basically Kurt Russell's character, the bounty hunter, he asks to see the Lincoln letter because it's a precious prize.
Do you still have it? He's like, do you still have the letter?
Do you still have it? And he's like, yeah, I got it. It's right here. I keep it close to me. In the envelope. I never take it out, kind of thing.
And that's a big thing.
Yeah.
The big thing is that it's actually a part of this guy's character, which he's the only black guy. A part of his character is the Lincoln letter. Okay? Yeah. Which kind of represents something specific, which we're gonna learn about later. But anyways, he has the letter with him. He's like, can I touch it? Can I read it? He's like, sure. I don't like taking it out of the envelope, but then he gives it to him.
For you, I make an exception.
For you.
So, you kind of have this, I guess, build up towards this Lincoln letter. And
it's just it's just thrown in there, though.
I guess kind of just to cut to the chase with it.
Cut, Derek.
Just
cut to the chase.
The reason behind the letter, as Major Marcus ends up expanding upon later, basically you find out that the letter is total garbage. It's forged. It's
a fraud. So
it's a fraud.
It's supposed to be this letter that he personally received as a pen pal, almost like a friend of Lincoln. And it's just a personal note that we don't know what it says until the very end of the film. But it's just a personal rambling note, and it ends with, like, his wife is calling me to dinner, so I've got to go.
Yeah.
But thanks, friend,
Yeah. And so it turns out to be a fraud. And basically the reason why he made this fraudulent letter from Lincoln is so that the white man would basically treat him with some respect. Disarm himself. He would let his barriers down, be like, oh, you're a friend of the president, you're a special person. There's some respect all of a sudden established between a white man and a black man.
And that's the word he uses. He uses the word disarm. He's like,
yeah.
I'm the one guy here. Everybody else has guns. This is kind of like my weapon to disarm and make people back down.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant, and that's like a part of his character. And that's why, like, at the end, it's just so beautiful what happens there.
Yeah.
So they're basically dying on the bed.
Sam Jackson's character and then the sheriff character as well.
Right, okay, so why is that
dying?
Them at the end, why is that special? Like, it's just them two left.
So, the reason why... there's a lot there, and it kind of needs a lot of prefacing as well.
Yeah.
But the reason why it's so special is because these two characters have been at odds the whole entire movie. You kind of see them both picked up at different times. And even Kurt Russell's character, at the beginning, when he's first introducing Sam Jackson's character to... the sheriff character. I forget that guy's name, but I feel bad for you, man. If you ever see this, I feel bad. But anyway, he introduces those two characters together, and he's like, I know you two aren't in cahoots because he's a racist.
Right.
And he would never go into, I guess, this kind of a business relationship.
Yes, he would never...
with a black man.
Yeah, he would never, like, shake hands with him or let his guard down.
Yeah,
or be disarmed.
Yeah, and so
be disarmed.
That's really interesting. And so you have this kind of building up, and there's all this talk about how, like, this white guy doesn't like blacks, and how, in all these different wars, the war against the North and the South, there's these issues.
A lot of language, a lot of dialogue in there.
Yeah, and so basically this has been kind of going on, this extended dialogue about how they're both kind of more racist.
And then at the end of the film, it gets to the point where basically people are dying left and right. And... everybody's kind of crippled in their own way, wounded. And it's kind of him, Samuel L. Jackson, and the girl.
Well, and what's interesting, too, about that is that there's these sides that have to be taken. And it's really interesting to me that when the chips are down, and it's basically like, who are the bad guys here? Who are the guys who are the fugitives?
Right.
He trusts the guy that is a racist and who has issues. He gives him a gun, and he's like, I trust you.
Right. And this is my favorite part of the movie, is when
it's
like the girl's like, okay, so it's you guys, and you're kind of combining forces now.
Mhm.
But Samuel Jackson runs out of bullets, and you have to make the decision right now. You can either die, because the rest of my gang is going to come up and just beat you to death,
Right.
or worse, or you can shoot Samuel Jackson, the major, shoot the major, and we'll just forgive all that you've done thus far, and let you go free. Also, you get a lot of bounty, and they keep basically tantalizing him with money and that stuff like that.
Right.
And they're like, "So is it a deal?" And then his lines when he's like, "No deal, deal or no deal, no deal." And that's like one of the best.
It's beautiful.
That's one of the best moments in the movie.
And I will say this too, and I'm not going to say the N-word, but there's definitely this play on the racism of the character, and this lady who's trying to get him to kill the black man, Samuel Jackson.
Samuel.
She's playing on that racism card.
Right.
She starts calling him the N-word and
Right.
things
She
like
never
this.
refers to him by.
And playing on he
name.
never calls him his name, never
Proper
anything
name.
like that. And she starts playing on this guy who she knows to be a racist, and it's beautiful because he's like, no deal, like Andrew
Right.
said, and then you just have that, and it's like yes.
And then they start coming down on him. They basically give the girl what she deserves. Well, you can, I mean, take it or leave it. They give the girl, they hang her. Which also is another theme of the movie, is the justice. We talked about that because there's a speech at the beginning of the movie where he's talking about frontier justice, or regular real justice, which is where the hangman comes in. He doesn't have any sides in the issue, but frontier justice, there's emotions involved, and that can be wrong sometimes. So they give kind of a frontier justice type of thing, but it's made out to be right.
Which, I mean, you could say, is
Take
it
that or
right,
leave
is
it.
it wrong?
Right. Take it or
There's
leave it.
obviously a lot you could talk about there.
But then the best part is after this, where they're laying on the bed, and they're soaked in blood, and they're probably going to die. And the guy says to Samuel Jackson, "Can I see the Lincoln letter?" And he gets it out of his pocket in pain, and he gives him the letter. And the ending shot of the movie is him reading this letter, and it's all played up, and there's great epic music in the background. And it's a moment. You don't necessarily know why it's a moment.
Right.
Until you think about it, because at the end, he finishes the letter, and then he's like, he knows it's a fraud by this point. He reads the letter, and he's like, "Yeah, the Mary's calling me to dinner." That was a good touch. That was a good touch. And then he crinkles it up and throws it away, and they both just kind of lay back.
Yeah. And it's this beautiful picture too, because the two of them are kind of soaking in each other's blood to some extent, and it's racial boundaries just are gone.
It's beautiful because that thing that he used to disarm people,
and that too. Yeah.
He basically gives it to him and lets him throw it away. He's like, "I don't need that anymore." And yeah, it's because he's at the end of his life.
But they're both disarmed in that moment.
Right.
It's like the sweet surrender.
They're both together.
Yeah. It's the brotherhood. And it's a beautiful thing. And the movie ends on that, which was awesome. That's one of the things that I absolutely loved about the movie.
Right.
So I couldn't completely crap on the movie, but at the same time, it still got that 5 rating for me.
Right.
But, yeah.
It's all right.
You know what I mean. It is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. And that's what it is.
Yeah. So
what it is.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of all we wanted to talk about in terms of this movie, is just to kind of hit on that one point.
Right.
There's obviously other things you could talk about in this movie.
Which is why we want you to join the dialogue.
Exactly.
So what you got to do is you just got to comment down below. That's what you got to do. You got to comment.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm just comment.
And you know what? This opens so many beautiful doors to talk about racial issues even in today's society. I mean, I think that's the kind of the point of Quentin Tarantino doing movies like this and touching on those things. I've heard him actually say that in interviews before, that he actually loves the fact that his movies end up bringing out these kind of discussions.
Right, because he doesn't beat around the bush much,
No.
He's kind of like we said, the tension spray paint is on the wall.
Yeah,
That's a bad analogy, but...
And so, you know what? Racism is still a thing in today's culture. It's something that needs to be dealt with, and I'm completely fine with opening up the door for anybody of any race to comment below and just talk about these things. Discuss them.
Speak your
Speak your mind. You know, let us know how you feel about these things. Let us know if you watched the movie, how you felt about it.
Right. If you caught onto this thing and agreed with us, let us know. If you didn't agree with us, let us know. If you didn't think about it before, then tell us what you thought. You know, we're going to reply to you. We're going to keep the dialogue going.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, if you like this video, press the like button. If you want to subscribe to us, we're going to have many more discussions in the future. And we're going to have other movie reviews. If you haven't seen our Hateful Eight movie review, you should go watch that now because you can see our full review on that and what we thought about the movie.
That's right.
And yeah, feel free to watch our other movie reviews as well.
That's all. That's all for now.
Yeah. Thanks for watching the dialogue.
Join us next time.
Join us next
Please
time.
bump it out.